A long time ago, during an update far, far in the past, the Kléber was nerfed, and since that update, I've not actually featured it in a video on my channel, but that's going to change today because we're taking a look at the legendary tier French destroyer in this video. I've finally settled on a way to play it after the nerf, and for those of you who don't remember the Kléber back at its debut, it used to have torpedoes with an 8-kilometer range, and it was decided by the spreadsheet, I suppose, that the Kléber with 8-kilometer torpedoes was just a little bit too potent. It was, doing way too well in the matches. People were winning too much with it, doing too much damage. So they went ahead and they nerfed the torpedo reload. Or not the torpedo reload, sorry, the torpedo range. They nerfed the torpedo range from 8 kilometers to 6 kilometers. And that presents an interesting challenge for me in terms of figuring out how to actually play the ship. Not so much a challenge, I suppose, more like my desires for how the ship should perform conflicting with the reality of how it actually does in this game. Because you see, the Kléber is one of the few ships that I've grinded to on PC, World of Warships, that I actually own on World of Warships Legends. That's right, I have the Kléber on PC. And in that game, the Kléber is a little bit different in the sense that it is actually a very good gunboat. But part of the reason that makes it a good gunboat is denied to it here in World of Warships Legends, amongst some other things. On PC, let's just put it this way, you can only get the concealment on the Kléber down to a maximum of 7.8 kilometers using every commander skill, the concealment mod, and camo. 7.8. That's as far as you can get the concealment down. The maximum torpedo range, 8 kilometers. And yet the guns on the Kléber have a 13.6 kilometer range at base on PC. And you can use the reload mod to get the reload down somewhere near 6 seconds, I think just a little bit below that. On top of it, the Kléber has 4 main battery reload boosters on PC. And between the good base gun range, good reload time with the mod, those 4 main battery reload booster consumables, the poor concealment, Kléber actually functions as a very decent gunboat indeed on PC. But part of the reason that it's a good gunboat is denied to it here. It does not have long gun range at all. Particularly if you run the torpedo-focused French destroyer commander, Aboyano, I think his name is. I'm sure I'm butchering it, but you know the guy. That's the guy I'm running right now to buff the speed of the torpedoes, the reload of the torpedoes. Of course, that comes at the expense of the range of the guns, and I think the reload of the guns, so I'm not doing myself any favors there. But also, with only one main battery reload booster, the Kléber in Legends really makes it feel like that main battery reload booster is a gimmick rather than an integral part of how the ship plays. With only one charge, it's just sort of a throwaway gimmick. If it had multiple charges, you could actually sort of incorporate that into a bit of a game strategy. These days, however, I find that I pretty much skimp out on the reload booster until I know I have it essentially guaranteed to work. And thus, the Kléber, in my mind here on World of Warships Legends, needs to be played as sort of an ambushy torpedo boat. And that's precisely how I'm going to play it, how I've been playing it, and how I'm having the most success in it. Forget about the guns. They can be useful when you have to use them in certain scenarios, but buff the torpedoes with Aboyano, and of course use that skill that decreases your concealment when you activate the engine boost consumable. That's the real skill that sets the French destroyers apart and the thing that makes this such an effective torpedo boat even with its shortened 6-kilometer range, because it can still be. I suppose it would be a good idea to talk about what I'm doing in this game, though, and maybe give you a hint as to why the title is what it is, because I'm sure you're probably wondering at this point. We did open up the game by playing cautiously, and I think fairly intelligently, not committing to that alpha cap when we didn't know what was over there, and only committing after we had spotted the Shima the first time and chased him away. The first time we spotted the Shima, we did a lot of damage to him, and for whatever reason, he's thinking he can come back and sink us. And it's not like his guns are necessarily bad, but mine are a lot better. The Alpha Strike, at the very least, on Kléber, particularly with a Bueno influencing the build, and remember his base trait increases destroyer high explosive damage. Well, with those things together, not too terribly difficult to take down that Shimakaze. And as far as I can tell right now, we have set up the win conditions for our team. We've got both the Alpha and Bravo caps. The enemy only holds Charlie. They've got no less than 3 battleships right on top of that Charlie cap, all 3 of which are sailing south in the exact same direction. So they're going to theoretically come out broadside in front of my 3 battleship teammates that are sort of sitting off in our spawn between the Alpha and Bravo caps. So my teammates should be in a decent position to slow down that enemy push, especially since it's coming from exactly the same direction, and it's 3, maybe 4 if this Conqueror catches up to them, battleships all in the same grid square. That means they should be easy to angle against, and my team should have really no problem stopping them from pushing into the Bravo cap. That's when I spot the enemy aircraft carrier, and I note the point situation. The enemy is ahead of us on points, not by much. Our carrier has gone down, but the enemy still has theirs, which means they have a huge advantage over spotting versus our team. So I decide that it's important to take down this carrier. He's not going to make it difficult for me. He's spotted. He's not attempting to maneuver. He's just sitting there, waiting for my torpedoes to impact him. He doesn't even appear to know we're here. So we get into range of our torpedoes. You can see we've got them reaching out to 7 kilometers with the help of some of Boyano's skills, torpedo safari included, and that does make it a little bit easier to actually make use out of these torpedoes, which, even though they have short range, remain absolutely excellent. They're fast, and they hit pretty hard. Not as hard as like Shimakaze or IJN torps, but certainly hard enough. And you've got, what is that, 12 of them? 6 on either side of the ship, so very easy, very good to land. You can see they do good damage, and this CV, well, he stands no chance, of course. He could have spotted us a lot earlier, maybe. He could have tried to drop us. He didn't try to do any of that. Only at the last possible moment does he decide to move, and by then it's too late. He goes down to our torpedoes and becomes our second kill of the game. And that puts us ahead on points, which is a good thing, because now we can build on that points lead. Again, we have 2 capture circles, courtesy of me. I was the one that took both of them, although, to be fair, I think I only assisted in taking one of them, the other I capped solo. Nevertheless, we hold both of those caps. The enemy destroyer is spotted like 2 kilometers away from our cruiser, so hopefully that cruiser will be able to take down the enemy destroyer. Unfortunately, one of the enemy ships takes down one of our battleships. What a surprise. But still, there goes the destroyer. It's Khabarovsk. The Baltimore sinks it. Very good. We should be in good shape. We're ahead once more on points, and it's 4 battleships. We have the destroyer advantage. We have a cruiser. These guys really don't need to do anything at this point, right? There's less than 5 minutes left to go in the game. If we want to win the game, we simply maintain our hold on the capture circles. We play it safe. Maybe we kite away from the enemy. I keep them spotted. My teammates take pot shots at them until the game ends. If the enemy gets in the Bravo cap, somebody tries to keep them spotted, and my teammates simply reset them before they can take the cap. Easy win. Very easy method to obtaining this win. It's obvious. It's right here in front of us. All we need to do is look at the score and look at the position of the enemy on the map, and then evaluate our own position. Do you think my team is doing any of that? Of course not. We have a Baltimore right in front of us. He did just take out the last remaining enemy destroyer, which, good on him. But here's what he's thinking to himself. He's thinking, oh, I am a Baltimore. I've got 27 millimeters of armor. That means I can bow tank a Jean Bart. He's only got 15-inch guns. Therefore, I should be safe, and I should be able to hold my own over here. No, not when there's 3 enemy battleships right in front of you. You can't. I don't care if you can bow tank 15-inch guns. You're going to die. Especially if those battleships are armed with 16-inch guns, and some of them, right over there, are armed with 16-inch guns or better. So that Baltimore is going to be demolished by those battleships. Meanwhile, my Grosse Kurfürst out there is very low on health indeed, and we have at least 1 battleship left. I'm not sure where he's at. Actually, he's in the Alpha Cap, it looks like. Don't know what his health situation is, but even so, we're able to take down that Jean Bart as the Jean Bart takes down the Baltimore. So we manage a trade, and that keeps us ahead on points. But right now we've got 3 battleships barreling toward the Bravo Cap, and we are still ahead on points, but only by just over 100. So we're going to have to maintain this points lead, and doing so is going to involve us not being able to allow these battleships to take that cap. Now they're all sailing straight into it. I may be able to hit some with my torpedoes. I'm going to launch them right into the cap right now, and I'm going to hang around here. I'm not going to shoot my guns. I'm not going to get myself spotted. I'm just going to try to spot these battleships for my teammates to shoot at, because they need to be reset. We don't need to push into these guys. We just need to spot them. Our teammates don't need to push into these guys either. They just need to shoot them and prevent them from capping. Do you think they're really going to do that, though? Of course not. The one friendly battleship that I have left that was in the Alpha Cap, he's pushing in toward these battleships, and to be fair to him, a lot of them are on very low health. The Conqueror, we managed to tag him with the torpedo right in the bow. The Georgia is essentially a one-shot kill for anybody who gets a good salvo on him. We're debating on what do we want to do. We want to open fire on the Conqueror. He just damage conned. The Kléber does have a good fire chance, and we get lucky with RNG, starting a fire instantly. We're going to see if we can't get yet another fire on that Conqueror. He does have a super heal. 1 is probably not going to be enough. 2 is probably not going to be enough, but we need to do as much damage as possible. We're still ahead on points, and unfortunately, I think maybe we made a bit of a mistake here in retrospect, which is not staying directly in front of that cap and keeping all of the enemy ships spotted all at one time. But then again, I don't know, because our battleship teammate, he's pushing in really aggressively. The other one sort of has the right idea. You can see him hiding behind the island over there. Maybe that's a little bit too passive. I mean, his guns would come in handy for resetting these guys. But at least he's got, you know, more of the right notion than this guy, who is now bow on in front of a Georgia and 2 other battleships with absolutely no hit points left to his name. He's essentially a one-shot kill for anybody who gets a hit into the superstructure, and it just so happens that the enemy team really only needs 1 more kill to put them ahead on points, because they've now taken the Bravo Cap and there's less than a minute left to go in the game. So, of course, what happens? Well, that friendly battleship gets sunk, leaving a pretty healthy Bismarck and a pretty healthy Conqueror who's gotten a little bit of time to, I think, use his heel left floating on the surface of the sea, which means the enemy team's got, I don't know, 10, 20 more points than we do, so they're gonna win. A lovely throw in slow motion. Unfortunately, you just can't, well, you can't control the actions of your teammates. Sometimes they're going to lose you games, even though you could have easily won, and we could have here. Nevertheless, the Kléber is at least still an effective destroyer, a very effective destroyer, even if I can't play it the way I want to, which is as a gunboat, because you really can't. This is sort of how you have to play it, as an ambushy torpedo boat type destroyer, and hey, it's fun, I guess, and it's effective. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.